Hello, I'm Mr. Bardole. Welcome to another selection of automotive shop safety and how to use equipment. Today we're going to be using the car lifts and we're going to be stressing safety, observation, and care. So here's how we're going to start with learning the controls of the lift itself. First off, to go up, you push the button. And you can see down here, the legs are coming up, the lifting legs. To go down is the lever right below it. So I'm going to go down, and you can see it's a little bit slower because there's really no weight on these legs. Now, as it goes down, you can see that the lockout brackets here lift up, and they allow me to move the legs in and out without any trouble because these are unlocked because they're pushing down on the ground. Next, we're going to come up with the button first to our first click. Listen to that mechanical locks lock out as it meets the first mechanical lock. Listen. Did you hear it go click, click? Now that it's clicked out, it's automatically set to lock out, so I can only go down to the mechanical locks. Watch this. Coming down to the mechanical locks, listen. Click, click, you can barely hear it, but you know they're locked out. And notice I can't really move these. The reason I can't is because I've got to lift the L brackets here so I can push the arms in and push the arms out using the L brackets. Other than that, we have the arms that extend. This is a two-tier arm, tier 1, tier 2. As we move to the front of the lifting blocks, we have a 3-tier arm, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. That's the basic dynamics of the lift itself. Cars always pull in forward, they never back in. This lift is designed to handle the front of the car on these lifting blocks and the back of the car on these lifting blocks, or the truck, whatever you're using. Now we're going to come down. So coming down, we're going to first go up, and then we're going to film over here to this next latch. So where you see my right hand and the button here, watch my right hand. You notice now I've unlocked the mechanical locks, and we are now on hydraulic pressure. This is the most dangerous time of the lift operation. So you must be clear of the car, and you must take care in coming down. Right here, I call it feathering the controls. Start off slow to make sure that you're out of the lifting blocks on both sides, and then as you come out, then you come past that first lock. Once you come past that lock at the bottom, you can actually let go of this, and it'll continue to go down because you've cleared all the mechanical locks coming down, and this would be your last lock here. So you notice I don't have to hold this down any longer. But you do have to hold it down until you get to this point here. So keep that in mind as we operate the lift. Couple of notations to remember. The lift is designed for the car to pull in forward, not backwards. Another safety item is the car has got to be, or the lift has got to be designed to lift the car up. Both the rear and the front pads on all 4 sides have got to be engaged and lifting the vehicle. You cannot just lift a vehicle in the front by putting the pads on the front of the vehicle and lifting the front up only with the rear wheels on the ground. That will take out the cables and cause the top of that post down to the bottom to pull out of the concrete and pull these bolts out, because all of the weight now is transferred to the front of the tower, and it can pull the bolts out in the back right here. So keeping in mind that you must have all 4 engaged. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the most difficult vehicles to lift, and it's a Ford F-100. First off, I want to show you some pointers. When the car comes off the ground, you always remember to keep some distance and clearance between the floorboards and the lifting legs, or the rocker panels, which are located here, here, and here. Rocker panels, floorboards must have clearance or you're going to bend and wreck the rocker panels. So that's important. You can see that they're cleared here as well. Okay, in this next exercise, we're going to lift a truck with what we call extensions, and they're located right here. The extensions we'll be using today are these extensions here, 2 of these. However, sometimes we don't have 2 solid extensions available. Just simply stack these 2 on top of each other, and now you've got 2 solid extensions available. This works up to about 6,000 pounds. That's the limit that I want to put on these lifts. No more than 6,000 pounds. That is it. Moving forward now, we're going to go under the truck, and we're going to take a look as I come up on the truck at where these are positioned. So let's go around to the controls really quick. First thing we're going to do as we come up on the truck is we're going to come up to the first lockout position. So here we go, first lockout position. As it lifts, watch the truck come up. If one side lifts up first and the other side lifts up too late, something is wrong. You need to stop and put the truck or car back down on the ground. So when you first start, make sure the truck comes up evenly or the car comes up evenly. Similar to that. You heard the lockouts. Now I'm going to go into settle. I'm going to do it the wrong way first. Let me show you the wrong way. This is going in too fast. See how it's rocking? That can cause the car or the vehicle to fall off the lift if it's not properly cradled. So when you come on into settle, you do this. Coming into settle, is everybody clear on the driver's side? The answer is yes or no. If it's yes, then move to the passenger. Everybody clear on the passenger side? The answer is yes, you're ready to come into settle. Remember, don't say left or right side, always say driver or passenger side. Coming into settle, clear, clear. Coming into settle with feather controls. And now you can see minimal rocking, minimal danger because I feathered the controls here. Now we're going to come up a little bit higher and look at the placement of the lifting cradles or lifting pads. Notice the clearance. The clearance. Listen to the lockouts. Can you hear them? Now, you're going to notice that the top of the cab has a safety switch. The bar that goes right over that safety switch is a shutoff bar. If this roof hits that shutoff bar, the lift automatically shuts off so you don't damage the lift. Moving up a little higher, listen to the clicks. That's pretty good. Now we're going to come into settle very carefully, making sure that each side is locked out before I even get near the vehicle or underneath the vehicle. Coming into settle, is everybody clear on the driver's side? Yes. Everybody clear on the passenger side? Yes. Feather the controls. Here we go. Did you hear it go clunk clunk? We are good to go underneath the vehicle. Now we're going to look at the control or the lifting blocks here. Notice how the pads are on the frame. This is the frame. This is where the pads are lifting the vehicle. We're not lifting on springs. We're not lifting on shackles or attachments. We're lifting directly on the frame. Now, let's go to the next lifting position. We're lifting on the radial arm bracket or the radial arm attachment. This is a good attachment because you can see that it's attached directly to the frame. And that makes it a very good place to attach. Under here we can see the same thing. We've got the extension And I will show you in a minute how these adjustments work here in a minute. One thing I need you to remember is never let a cleat touch the metal. The cleats are designed to lock the metal into the pad should it slide left or right. Cleats are always not touching metal at all times. Moving back here, we're going to see something. I'm going to bounce the truck to show you how unstable it is. It's safe to get under, however, you can still see that there's a lot of wobble underneath that truck. We'll address that problem here in a minute, but I want to note something as we move over to the front, that most of the weight is going to be on this arm here because of the engine, transmission. All of that is on here, so we're not going to equally be picking up the truck, but that's okay because all four legs are handling at least 550 to 1,000 pounds. And that's how we keep it balanced, and that's how we keep these bolts from pulling out of the concrete. Side note, make sure that every lift has at least 4 inches of concrete before you bolt that thing down, or this will not stay secured. Just a side note on all of that. Okay, now we're going to move forward in a minute, and we are going to use what we call the tripods. So if we'll go ahead and go up as high as we can go, watch the roof. That's it. It's as high as we can go. It stopped by itself. Coming into settle, driver's side clear, yes. Passenger side clear, yes. Now watch this under here. Here we go. We're going into settle. I saw both sides click evenly. Now we'll cut the film and I'll go ahead and grab the tripod. Vehicle in. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to reverse the image. And what we're going to do is try to bring the vehicle, so if you'll stand back by the door. We're going to find the center of the lift and bring the rear view mirror in line with the center of the lift itself by doing this and bringing the car in like this. Turning it left, turning it right, left, come on in, or right, whatever direction it is. This direction, come on in, straight, bringing it in straight, lining it up with the rear view mirror. Now I'll bring the car in, or the vehicle in, and I'll show you how to find out where to place the vehicle. So let's begin with bringing it in. If you'll film me. Okay, generally speaking, how far in do I pull the vehicle? We'll have the person filming show over here. So if you'll come over here. What we're going to do is, as soon as the back of this tire clears this lifting block, that's approximately where we want to pull it forward. So here we go. Take a look at how I'll do that. And another side note, always roll one window down. This window's broken. So I rolled that window down so I can hear instruction, and if I lock my keys in the car, there'll be no problem because the window is down to retrieve my keys. So take a look at the lifting bar right there. Now that the lifting bar is there, I turn the key off and make sure the key stays in the ignition. And I've got the swing arm is going, see how I've cleared that right there? That's approximately where I need to be. Now comes the arm placement for this vehicle. Take a look at where we're going to put it. Again, we have running boards. Very important not to smash them with the lifting arm. So as we go under here, I'm going to dim my light a little bit, and we'll find out where to lift the vehicle. This is a full-framed vehicle. The problem is I'm going to have to come forward a little bit more because the lifting pad is kind of gonna, it might be up here just too much. So I might bring it forward just a bit more, and I am going to use a small extension. So hang on and we'll cut. Okay, so you notice that it does swing in on this side here, but we need to check the other side because they're always different. So look at the difference in distance between that side on the driver and that side on the passenger. There can be differences, but the main thing is to get the tire to clear, and I am going to get my measuring stick here, and part of your grade will come into how well you center the vehicle. Now, I probably didn't do a good job on this one because we're filming, but let's take a look. And we're going to show you how particular we are. Right here, I'm showing about 26 and a half inches. So I'm way off. Here, I'm probably way closer. As we can see, I'm 15. So I'm just bringing your attention to trying to get this centered by looking for the rear view mirror and the center of the lift. That's the secret in getting that perfectly. So now that we've got everything set to where we want it, let's go ahead and bring the vehicle up off the ground. We'll start right here. So I'll bring the lifting arm in, but first I'm going to use an adapter that's here, and I'm going to install the adapter on this portion of the arm. So I'll pull this out here and install the adapter here, like that, and it'll go in here like that. Now, I have adjustments here. To the left means out, to the right means in. But the best way to adjust it is down here when you get to that final adjustment. See where my hand is? That final adjustment, I hold this firm and I can adjust it left or right without having to turn the top. I can turn it down here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to articulate this onto the frame as close to the engine or the front of the vehicle as humanly possible. I'm hoping that you can see that. Now, how do I place it? I'll just simply pick it up and see about where it's going to hit. I'm hoping I'm not washing out it with this light. And you can see, even though it's turning in, the cleats are on the outside of the metal. So I'm pretty good there. Let's go ahead and set the back up. We're going to go next on the back. Okay, now that we're on the full frame vehicle, the other thing I want to make sure you see is the distance between here and here and the distance between here and here have got to be fairly close. They don't have to be perfect, but fairly close. And you can see where this is going to come in. It's going to lay in about there. I can always line it up a little bit better and a little bit more exact by doing that. Okay, so we're going to get close. I'll go ahead and get the other side set up, and then we'll come up to what we call first touch. Again, please look at your distance here and your distance here as you're coming up. Okay. Okay, before we come up on the lift, make sure the hood is down. It doesn't have to be locked, but you don't want the hood running into any of the lights that are above us. So make sure it's down. Okay, as we come up, we're going to go back and do a review on the controls real quick. The up button is the button. The down is the lever below the up button, and the release for the mechanical locks is on the opposite side, 90 degrees away from the up button. Now we'll film underneath the car, and you're going to see what the first touch looks like. Everybody clear on the driver's side? Yes. Everybody clear on the passenger side? Yes. Coming up to first touch, let's watch. Here's first touch. There's my touch. This is the point where we adjust all the other lifting pads to match that first one that touched first. Hence the name, coming up to first touch. These touched all at the same time, so we didn't need to make any adjustments. But again, we adjust to the pad that came up and touched first. Now that we're up on the touch pad, everybody clear? Yes, coming up to first click. Coming into settle, feather control. Into settle. Coming into bounce. Everybody watching lifting. Now watch the legs as I bounce it and see if they're all moving about the same. As you look at that thing bounce, you'll see the legs are all moving about the same distance. Okay, so that's very important. Now we got to come up to the floorboards. So if you'll film up here, we're going to show you that we have ample distance between the floorboards and the lifting arms. And we're also going to show you that we are centered just perfectly where the balance point of this vehicle is almost between the engine and the back of the vehicle. We're almost 50-50, so that's a good location, demonstrating that using this arm coming past this tire is a good way to decide how far forward we need to pull. Now that we've got this figured out, we give it one last quick look to see how we're set. Okay, now keeping sure that these cleats here are not on the metal. They're not turned this way, they're all this way and not touching the metal. Okay, moving up now, we're going up into the air. Here we go. Watching the top of the hood all the time, the top of the roof all the time. Here we go. Listen for the lockouts. They're occurring at the same time. That's good. Lockouts are occurring at the same time. We're going to go as high as we can. Always filming up here at the safety switch. You can see up here at the safety switch. That's about it. See, I'm stopped. Coming in to settle, watch the lockouts. And we're in to settle. We're really set. Let's go underneath the car now. It's safe. We know that we're centered. Let's take a look. We got our cleats inside the frame. We're adjusted here perfectly. We've got good clearance between the floorboards. We've got good balance where the car is balanced. This is not that good. You can see it's a mistake, but it's not a big one. This isn't actually touching, but I would prefer to bring it in further and have this cleat more out here. So I would readjust this one if it was up to me. I would take and readjust this and bring this out this direction here. You can see where this cleat is touching just a little bit. Okay, so underneath here, we're looking at this. One thing we got to look at is if there's any wires like brake lines or parking brakes. They usually get hung up right here as you're coming down and coming off the weight of the vehicle. When these arms go down and the vehicle is on its tires, this can pull cables out of the car and wreck your brake lines if the lines or gas lines or parking brake lines are in the way of underneath here. So that's where we're at so far. Let's go ahead and unlock the vehicle now. It's dangerous time. Watch my hand here again. Push the button. My hand goes down. Feather the controls. Make sure you're off both mechanical locks. Looking pretty good. Now I can go full bore. Always keeping your hand on the down. Bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down. All the time. Now we are dealing with full frame vehicles right now. We want you to be aware of what we're dealing with. Okay, now I'm going to let go of this one here. Watch what happens. I'm locked out. I can leave that car there overnight if I want because I'm on the mechanical locks. Now we're going to move into tripods, so stand by. Okay, so now we're going to be using the tripods to secure the truck. We might be doing something like dropping the axle or the motor out of the car or the transmission. We need to have something more stable than this. Take a look. Again, see how unstable this truck is? I don't want to pull a transmission out of a truck if it's that wobbly. So if we go over here to this tripod right here, watch my fingers. As I go ahead, I'm going to set it into place here, making sure that the ground it's laying flush on the ground. Also, make sure that the pin here is locked into place. This pin must be locked into place. So always check your pins, and then take your fingers, hold it right there, and go ahead and adjust it into place. A couple of turns until you feel nice, good contact, and then go to the next one. Bring it up into place, spin it down until you feel nice, good contact. A little bit more, pretty good. Now we go to the front. Again, stressing. Check your pins here, and look, we're missing a Carter key here. The pin is in, I'll be okay, but I should put a Carter key back in there. Go ahead, notice I'm on the frame, not on the suspension. If I put it on the suspension or the back axle, it will not hold the truck because the axles are flexible with the suspension. You've got to get off the suspension and directly onto the frame. So I'll go ahead and take that onto the frame, bring it up to where it's fairly secure. Take the same thing, frame to where it's fairly secure. Now, I'll go ahead and bounce the truck, and look how stable this is. I'll go back and bounce it the same way. Watch me, my feet. Doesn't hardly move. That's how you secure a truck to do heavy duty work. So, in recap, we saw the cleat was in the wrong position on the Toyota Pathfinder, but we would readjust that in reality, but it's there to show you how mistakes can be made. It's not serious, but if it was touching the metal and it was fully contacting and it was lifting the car, it would be serious because it would slide off. Also, if any arm is not fully lifting its full capacity that it can lift, the car will fall off the lift because it will careen off this way or whatever way the arm is not in contact with the vehicle. Again, all four arms must be in contact with the vehicle. Next, we put the tripods on here on the frame, not on the axle, not on any of the suspension, because the axle moves. Again, looking at these parking brake lines, again, they can get caught under here in some cases. So always remember to watch this when you're coming off all the way and you're ready to take the lift out of place and back the car out. Make sure these are out of the way. Tripods, make sure they're secure, and make sure the car is in the mechanical locks before you adjust the tripods. Moving forward into the controls, remember, up is the button, down is the lever that allows the lift to go down. This is the mechanical lock out and lock in. So coming up, you notice these arms are locked. Coming down, we come down, you're going to see the L brackets go up, and now the arms are movable. So that's another point that we want to review. And remember, coming up the first click, coming off the mechanical locks is a procedure. Listen for the click. Click, click. Coming down into settle. Now I'm into settle. It's not going to go down any further. Coming off of settle, pulling this lever down and pushing the button. And there you have it. And now I'm off the mechanical locks and on hydraulic pressure. One other little notation is never fast trigger the motor like this. Don't do this. That will ruin the pump. So don't fast trigger the motor. This has been the conclusion of the car lift procedures and car lift safety instructions. Read them well, review them well, go through the whole thing a couple of times for your own safety and your own life. Thank you for joining us at UVU Automotive Concurrent Enrollment. One more thing I'd like you to do, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe so you will get notifications on our next assignment. Plus, we'll be bringing students in I'll be linking them into some of their projects too, so you can see how their projects are coming along. Thank you.